Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote this over 500 years ago, and yet it remains the single most important warning for navigating the modern world. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling confused, drained, and strangely guilty, but you don't know why? Have you ever agreed to something you didn't want to do and later wondered, how did they convince me of that? Have you ever felt outmaneuvered in an argument, not by logic, but by a subtle twisting of your own emotions? This is not a failure of your intelligence. This is the quiet, chillingly effective art of psychological manipulation. It is a game being played all around you, in the boardroom, in your personal relationships, and in the media you consume. A game where the rules are invisible, and the goal is to make you act against your own best interests while believing it was your own idea. Most people are merely pawns in this game, moved across the board by forces they cannot see.
But here is the secret. Manipulation is not magic. It is a science. And like any science, it has rules, patterns, and principles. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Niccolo Machiavelli is history's most infamous and insightful master of this science. He wrote the rule book. Today, we are not learning to become manipulators. We are learning to become immune. We will use Machiavelli's timeless wisdom to first spot the mind games being played on you, and then how to resist them with calm, strategic power. They have built a prison for your mind. My name is Carl, and I am here to hand you the key. Welcome to Revolt Mind.
Part 1. The Prince's Perspective on Power.
To a Machiavellian thinker, power is rarely won through brute force. It is won through the masterful control of perception. It is the art of shaping reality for your opponent. A mind game, therefore, is any action designed to bypass your logical mind and directly target your emotions, your insecurities, and your virtues in order to control your behavior. The amateur manipulator uses clumsy tactics like threats or overt lies, but the master, the true artist of the craft, is far more subtle. They don't attack you. They make you attack yourself. They make you doubt your own sanity, question your own motives, and willingly hand over your power. To defend against this, you must stop thinking like a pawn who only sees the next move. You must start thinking like a prince who sees the entire board. Our task is twofold. First, we will learn to recognize the signature moves of the manipulator, the telltale signs that a mind game is in progress. Second, we will learn the fundamental defensive principles that make your mind a fortress, impervious to their psychological attacks. Let us begin by turning on the lights and exposing the shadows where manipulators thrive.
Part 2. How to Spot Manipulation. Machiavelli's 3 Telltale Signs. A manipulator's tactics are varied, but they almost always rely on one of these 3 foundational strategies. Learn to recognize them, and you will see the game for what it is.
Sign number 1. The weaponization of morality and emotion. If you really cared about this team, you would stay late and finish this. I thought you were a team player. You're the only one I trust with this, the only one smart enough to handle it. I wouldn't ask anyone else. Listen carefully to those statements. They do not appeal to your logic. They appeal to your identity and your emotions. A master manipulator rarely engages in a logical debate. Why? Because logic is a battlefield of equals. Emotion is a landscape they can control. They weaponize your own virtues against you. They use your guilt. The phrase, "if you really cared about this," is not a request. It is an emotional trap. It recasts a professional boundary as a moral failing. They use your pride through flattery. They praise you to lower your defenses right before they make an unreasonable request. They use your pity. They play the victim, making you feel responsible for their problems, compelling you to rescue them. When you feel a sudden, strong wave of guilt, pity, or even excessive pride during a negotiation or request, that is your first red flag. It is a sign that the game has been shifted from the mind to the heart. A Machiavellian strategist recognizes this immediately as an attack, not a sincere appeal.
Sign number 2, the distortion of time and urgency. This offer is only good for the next hour. You have to decide now. I need an answer on this immediately. If we don't act now, everything will fall apart. A rational mind needs time to think. A manipulator's greatest enemy is your ability to pause and reflect. Therefore, one of their most common tactics is to create a false sense of urgency. They manufacture a crisis or an artificial deadline to rush your decision-making process. Why? Because when you are under pressure, your emotional, reactive brain takes over. Your ability to weigh pros and cons, to consider long-term consequences, and to consult with others is short-circuited. You are more likely to make a mistake, to concede too much, and to agree to something that only benefits them. A prince is the master of his own time. He is never rushed. When you feel pressured to make a significant decision right now, recognize this for what it is: a deliberate tactic to suspend your critical thinking. True opportunities rarely evaporate in an instant. True emergencies are rare. Manufactured urgency, however, is the manipulator's favorite tool.
Sign number 3, the isolation from counsel.
Look, let's keep this between us. Other people wouldn't understand the nuances of this situation. I'm only telling you this because I trust you. A manipulator's power is like that of a fungus. It thrives in darkness and isolation. Their greatest fear is a second opinion. A common and highly effective mind game is to isolate you from your network of support. They will try to convince you that your situation is unique, that no one else can be trusted, and that they are the only ones who truly understand. They create an exclusive, secret bubble around the two of you. This serves two purposes. First, it makes you feel special and important, lowering your defenses. Second, it prevents you from running their proposal by a trusted friend, a mentor, or a lawyer, who might immediately say, "This is a terrible deal. You are being manipulated." A prince, as Machiavelli advised, always maintains a council of trusted advisors. He understands that his own perspective is limited. The desire to isolate you is a massive red flag that indicates your advisor does not have your best interests at heart. They want their voice to be the only one in your head.
Part 3. How to resist. Machiavelli's 3 pillars of defense. Recognizing the game is the first half of the battle. Winning it requires a new set of skills. Resisting manipulation is not about being aggressive or confrontational. It is about being strategic, calm, and impenetrable. Pillar number 1, emotional detachment. The power of the pause. The antidote to emotional manipulation is cold, dispassionate logic. A manipulator throws emotional fireballs. You must build a shield of ice. Your greatest defensive weapon is a simple two-word phrase. Let me think about it. This phrase is a circuit breaker. It derails their entire strategy. It neutralizes urgency. It diffuses emotional pressure. It gives you back the one thing they tried to steal from you: time. When someone tries to guilt you, flatter you, or rush you, do not engage with the content of their attack. Simply pause, take a breath, and say, "That's an interesting point. I'll need some time to consider it and get back to you." This does three things instantly. It shows you are not reactive and cannot be controlled by emotion. It gives your logical mind time to catch up and analyze the situation objectively. And it puts you back in control of the timeline. Never make a significant decision in a heightened emotional state. The pause is your sanctuary. Use it. Pillar number 2, strategic ambiguity, controlling the information flow.
Machiavelli knew that information is the currency of power. The less your opponent knows about your true thoughts, fears, and desires, the less ammunition they have to use against you. The modern world encourages us to overshare. A manipulator thrives on this. They will ask probing questions, trying to find your weaknesses. Your defense is to become a master of the non-answer, to be strategically ambiguous. This doesn't mean lying. It means answering a question without giving away your position. If they ask, "Are you worried about this deadline?" you don't say, "Yes, I'm terrified." You say, "I'm giving the deadline the appropriate level of attention." If they ask, "What's your biggest weakness?" you don't reveal a fatal flaw. You provide a strength disguised as a weakness. Be a black box. Be polite, but be impenetrable. The less they know about what truly motivates you, the more powerless their attempts to manipulate you become.
Pillar number 3, the strength of the fortress, relying on your counsel. The ultimate defense against manipulation is to never be truly alone. This is the antidote to the manipulator's tactic of isolation. A prince builds a strong fortress. Your fortress is your mind, reinforced by a small, trusted council of advisors. These are the friends, mentors, or family members whose judgment you trust. Before making any major decision, especially one you feel pressured into, make it a rule to consult your counsel. You can use this as a powerful defensive line. As a rule, I always discuss significant decisions with my partner or mentor. I will run this by them and let you know. This instantly shatters the manipulator's secret bubble. It shows that you are not a lone, vulnerable target, but part of a stronger collective mind. The manipulator will often back down immediately because their tactics wither under the light of a third-party perspective.
Final truth: immunity, not manipulation.
The goal of this Machiavellian guide is not to turn you into a cold, calculating manipulator. It is to turn you into a calm, strategic thinker who is immune to manipulation. It is to move you from a state of emotional reactivity to a state of calm observation, to see the mind games not as personal attacks, but as predictable patterns. You stop being a pawn in someone else's game and become the master of your own. You understand the board, you see the moves in advance, and you choose not to play by their rigged rules. This is true psychological power. Not the ability to control others, but the absolute refusal to be controlled. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Your homework is to practice the first and most powerful pillar of defense. This week, just once,
When someone makes a request that feels urgent or emotionally charged, I want you to use the power of the pause. Do not say yes. Do not say no. Simply say, "Thank you. Let me consider that and I'll get back to you." Feel the power shift. Feel the control return to you. That is your first taste of strategic freedom. If this video has helped you build a wall for your mental fortress, share it with someone you know who is too kind for their own good. Subscribe to this channel, because now that you can spot and resist manipulation, the next step is to learn the Machiavellian art of persuasion, how to make your ideas impossible to ignore. The analysis is complete. The next move is yours. I am Carl, and see you again in the next videos.